Hey everyone, it's Maddie here from DCLblogger.com. In this video, I wanted to go through the Decentraland land marketplace. A lot of people are finding Decentraland and purchasing the Mana token, and that's great. But slowly, some people are moving to land and wearables and names and trying to figure out what the hell is going on and what should you invest, should you not invest, etc., etc. So I wanted to shed a bit more light on that part of Decentraland. So join me. Stay till the end because I'm going to go through the risks involved in this, and that's really important to know when investing in this new asset class. It doesn't behave like cryptocurrencies. It's not one of those things that you quickly flip or like you'll buy and you sell when it moons. It's something usually you buy and you grow with the platform. For example, with land, you buy, you build stuff on the land with the rest of the community, and as a man, if you hold Mana as well, then suddenly like 6 months later, if people find Decentraland again, there's all this cool content to share, and there's a higher value proposition for what Decentraland is. So buying land and names and wearables, it's kind of a different play with what you want to do within Decentraland. So this is my Twitter. If you want more information and want to keep updated, please follow it. I want to bring your attention to the land market first. So this is what the map looks like for Decentraland. Each pixel is 16 by 16 meters. The dark gray are land that are community owned. The purple ones are districts that are kind of projects within Decentraland. So this is Crypto Valley district where we hold conferences. This is Fashion District where we're going to open up shops, etc. District X, you can probably imagine what happens there. So yeah, the purple ones are just kind of community-run projects. They were established way before the map even started. So, and then the dark gray and the light blue are lands that are for sale. So if you want to buy something straight from the marketplace, well, you have to find the light blue land, and you click that, it'll tell you what the price is that someone's listed it for. So if you click this one, Game Credits headquarters, 20 pieces of land, they're selling it for 1 million Mana. Gamecredits.org, again, it's a different asset class. So if you want to negotiate with them, you can contact them and negotiate with them. It's different to just buying cryptocurrency on the exchange, right? So the land marketplace currently looks like this. The squiggly lines are roads, by the way, and the green ones are Genesis Plazas, which are Decentraland owned content. So what it looks like in the world, if I were to show you, kind of looks like this. So if I walk around, you can see the top left, you can see me going around the map. This is my character. I got all these cool wearables. We'll go through that later. If I click map, if I click M, it opens up the map. You can see I'm on the outskirts here. If I go into the green area, you can see it shows you all this cool content. This is what Decentraland have built, and it's a work in progress. They're going to start to introduce like an event pop-up. So for new users, this is the spawn point. So people spawn at 0, and then for new users at the moment, when you jump into Decentraland, people don't know what the hell to do. But eventually, there's going to be some sort of an event thing that pops up, so you know exactly where to go. There's going to be some some direction as to what to do to start off your journey within Decentraland, etc., etc. So you can kind of hang around and explore what Decentraland has to offer at the moment, or at least Center Genesis Plaza. Or if you want to go check out some events, you can go to events.decentraland.org, and you can see all the events people are hosting and when they are, and register to them and join in at that parcel. So you click this, it teleports you in there when the time comes. But for the most part, Decentraland is a big work in progress, and what you see today is very different to what you're going to probably see in the next 6 months. So back to the land market. Again, so what makes the land market very exciting is the fact that some of these lands have sold for astronomical prices. Some of them have sold for hundreds of dollars, some for thousands of dollars, some for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've sold land for 55,000 USD, sometimes 80,000 USD, some big chunks of lands, and I've purchased them for 30,000. So for me, the land market has actually been my bread and butter for 2 to 3 years, just buying and selling land. For at least the first 1 or 2 years, that was all I was doing with Decentraland. And then when they went public and there was actually something to explore, then suddenly it became about building content, running events, and building more awareness to what Decentraland has to offer. But before then, people were just buying land and kind of holding them, thinking what it will look like when the world opens. So what I normally do is keep on top of a website called nonfungible.com. Click the Decentraland category, and then you can filter this by land. So you go filter results, you go token, and you go land. And it shows you all the single lands that have sold. So the most recent sale was this one that sold for 3,700 USD, 10 Ethereum. If you see Ethereum, that means it's been sold on OpenSea. OpenSea is a website where you can sell all kinds of assets, not just Decentraland land. And this is the beauty of blockchain, is because it's all tokens, right? So anyone can kind of make an exchange and start to accept Decentraland assets and start to buy and sell them and kind of charge a fee, I guess. Where are we? So yeah, nonfungible.com. Different lands have different valuations. So if you click on the map, the more central you go, the more expensive they are. Usually, if you get land that's connected to Center Genesis Plaza, which is the spawn point, people are expecting millions of new users to come here. Then people are if you have a business that you set up here, then you want to benefit from the most foot traffic that there is, right? And people are speculating that it's going to be in the center area. So lands connected to Center Genesis Plaza are actually like 300, 400,000 mana. I've seen them sell for, which is a lot of money, you can imagine, for a single land. That's like 30, 40,000 USD. Whether it's worth it or not, I don't know, but the marketplace, that's the market prices. So that's what people are willing to buy and sell them at. If we go to Decentraland marketplace, where is the Decentraland marketplace? Okay. If you go to land and you go to the cheapest parcels of land, and you can see the cheapest parcels of land currently is 9,000 mana, or about that, 9,800 mana, 10,000, 11,000. It rises to 12,000, sometimes 15,000 mana. The cheaper lands are the ones on the far outskirts. So minus 150 and positive 150 are the coordinates of Decentraland, because 150, in each direction. So 140 means that it's northmost, it's pretty close to the north side of the map. 144 means that it's east, pretty far east to the map. But it's not really connected to anything. So these lands aren't connected to anything, and that's why they're the cheapest lands. So what we found is that as the market's matured, the prices have kind of reached some sort of a baseline, and we've noticed that lands that are on the far outskirts, not really connected to anything, are usually the cheapest lands. The next category are lands that are not connected to anything, but at least they're surrounded by some districts. So this one here is kind of in the middle-ish, but it's not connected to anything. But it's a little bit more expensive than land in the far outskirts. Then we have land that's connected to single roads. So these squiggly lines over here, basically they are roads, as I showed you before, within the map, and you can traverse those roads, and it's kind of like guaranteed visibility. I don't know why load mode isn't working. But what we've seen at the moment is lands connected to those roads are about 14 to 15,000 mana. If I were doing this video 2 weeks ago, I would have told you they're 18 to 20,000 mana. But because mana spiked, and suddenly people are happy to sell their 20,000 mana land for 12,000 mana, because mana's gone from 4 cents to 10 cents, so you're still making a big fiat gain. You'll see some of these prices have gone down quite a bit. But the land market's pretty thin, because in the sense that the order book is quite thin. So if some whale comes in and buys the cheapest 50 lands, which is what, like 500,000 mana, and it's happened in the past. In fact, there's been a whale that's come in and bought 10 million mana worth of land and suddenly bumped the prices from 7,000 mana to 15,000 mana. That has happened in the past. Then we'll see, it doesn't matter if some people dump their land really quickly based on mana prices. The lands just go nuts, right? It's happened in the past. So land market is a separate thing. And that's kind of how it works. So depending on where you are, the valuations change. If you want lands that are estates, so estates are joined parcels of land. So if we go back to nonfungible.com and we search through, the token, we filter it to estate token, click apply, then it's going to show you all the estates which are joined lands that have sold. So is it loading? Hopefully the pictures aren't loading, but you can kind of get an idea of this, right? This is an estate, it's a 6-piece, and it's sold for okay, here we go. I think the images are loaded now. Okay, so any land that's connected to another land or more is considered an estate. Don't just ignore the images, it's still loading and pulling the data, so it's all just kind of messed up. But this one sold for 20,000 mana. Some of the larger estates, this one sold for, okay, so I don't know if that was a legit sell, 1.15 Ethereum, maybe the image is wrong or something. This estate sold for 130,000 mana. This was how many parcels of land? 3, 6, 7, 8, 12, maybe 13 pieces of land, so maybe 10,000 mana each. But yeah, estates, you can sell them as bulk, right? So you can join these lands that you have and sell them as estates. The more land that you have connected to each other, the higher you can build. So there's that value proposition, but the more illiquid the asset, because rarely does someone come with like 200,000 mana in the pocket ready to spend on a single piece of land. That used to happen a lot. Nowadays it doesn't happen that much because a lot of people are watching the cryptocurrency market. So the land market's kind of gone down a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit on the land market. I also wanted to show you guys this. So the first auction that happened was the Decentraland auction to buy the initial phase of lands. So you could bid 1,000 mana, and I'm going to explain the crazy colors with this, but you can buy any land you want. You could place a bid. So the auction ran for I think 2 to 3 weeks or something. And I missed the auction, so I just learned about it when I got involved with the project. This was in 2017, December, kind of coming off the ICO boom. You could buy any land or place a bid on any pixel of land for a minimum 1,000 mana. If no one beat you for that 3 weeks, then that land was yours. Some people would outbid you. Maybe they bid 1250 mana, maybe you bid back 1500 mana, whatever it was. Some of the really center pieces, they went for like 500,000 mana because there was a bidding war for them, right? Some of the ones on the far outskirts, in fact, most of them went for about 1,000 mana. So when Decentraland first closed its auction, suddenly about 35,000 lands or private lands were sold, and the rest here you can see these were unsold, a light yellow color. So there was still about 9,000 parcels unsold, but the only way for new people like me to buy them once the first auction was over was that I had to buy it on the secondary marketplace. I had to buy it from someone else. So as soon as I entered, and a flood of people entered Decentraland from the people coming off the ICO thing and people looking for different opportunities. A lot of people were finding Decentraland just after the auction finished, and suddenly these people that have bought their land for 1,000 mana were happy to sell them for 3,000 mana, for 4,000 mana. For them it was a quick flip. For us, we were throwing our BTC and Ethereum that was now worth a ton more money on these new asset classes because it was exciting. And that created a really quick increase in price from 1,000 mana to say 5,000, 7,000 mana. And so I think within the first 6 to 12 months, we saw lands go up like from 1,000 mana to about 7 to 8,000 mana. And then all the colors here denote different owners. So you can see there's some whales in the middle. There's some whales on the side. I'm pretty sure this is DCG, Barry Silbert's land. He's got a piece over here. He's kind of got some pieces all over the place. But you can see that it's a pretty good mix of people that own land or had owned land. Now this is all different. This is 3 years ago. This image was taken 3 years ago. Now it's a lot different what it looks like. There's a lot more healthy share of land in different people's wallet. You can see there's not one whale that controls all of Decentraland. It's pretty spread out. So the light purple ones are different projects. You can see Vegas City. These are community-run projects. Decentraland University, Decentraland Conference Center, Ethereum Project, Dragon Kingdom, the Underground, the Battleground, blah blah blah. So that's kind of how it worked. So that's a bit of the history on Decentraland land. So now when you think it for 9,000 mana cheapest, it's kind of had that 2 to 3 years to mature to that price. And we consider that fairly cheap, 8,800 mana, because for a long time, for about a year, land was like, the cheapest land was like 12 to 15,000 mana, right? So that's a bit on the marketplace with land. Now, there's a correlation between price movement of mana and the Decentraland land marketplace. With Decentraland, if mana goes up too fast, which is exactly what's happened over the last week, then suddenly people start to sell their land really, really cheap. And that's why some people pick up some bargains. We've seen some land sell for, if I were to put this back to land, I'm someone interested in increasing my mana stack. So fiat's not too much of a concern for me because as a long-term holder, I know mana will appreciate the more value I and the community put into Decentraland. So for me, I'm stacking mana, right? So for me, I'm happy to purchase this, even though they're fiat expensive. If I can get them for a cheap mana price, for example, this one sold for 8,888 mana. Usually it doesn't, so there's probably a handful of those, and I'm pretty confident if mana stabilizes at this price, it shouldn't go much lower than that. It might, but it shouldn't. The chances are it doesn't. We can see 9,990 mana, 9,000 mana. Coming from like usually 15,000 mana floor, this is pretty cheap, right? So people pounced on these opportunities. In fact, I think there's still a couple of lands that are for sale for that price. So keep your eye on this marketplace, and every time there's a sale, kind of investigate why it's sold for that. And after some time, maybe a week or two, it'll start to click. You'll start to get an indication as to what land's worth what. And depending on when you want to jump in, you jump in. But that's a bit of a history on the Decentraland land marketplace. Now, land is also appreciating in different areas just because the content's becoming cooler to explore. So for example, Crypto Valley District is an area where we're seeing a lot more activity. OpenSea, they've purchased land here. We've had some VC firms purchase land here because conferences are held in the Crypto Valley. The Crypto Valley District is run by Decentraland as well. So I host a lot of conferences here in collaboration with Decentraland. We brought lots of partners. We're going to have some really big speakers here. And this area is starting to develop a little bit more. So suddenly land here is becoming valued a little bit more than the average. So what we're seeing now is a new dynamic where people are building content. That land in those areas is developing more. So for example, that's one example. Another one is this one here. That's becoming like, that's where all the art companies set up their headquarters. And suddenly the land here has become expensive, right? People are either not selling or selling them for pretty expensive. So as these content areas are developing, then slowly those hotbed of areas are going to start going up. Suddenly if a company like, say, I don't know, Sony PlayStation comes and buys this land, then you could probably assume that a lot of this area will start to increase in value. So that's the play with Decentraland land. If you want to buy it, you need a MetaMask wallet, and then you need to have some mana in your MetaMask wallet, and suddenly you can purchase the land that you want. I do advise emailing and kind of negotiating with people as you go along. So hopefully that's a little bit of introduction into the land market. And one thing I like to do is always to check the health of the land market. So I go to mydcl.net/stats. I kind of make sure that this graph has always got some volume, because the volume dries up, then suddenly your land is very hard to sell, right? It's not like cryptocurrency where you just list it and someone buys it at the market price. The lands, like, it depends if someone wants to buy it. So if someone doesn't want to buy it for 15,000 mana, you'll have to drop the price to 12,000 mana, then 10,000, then 9,000. And suddenly if you've got bills to pay, then you might be really desperate. You'll just dump it for whatever you can get. So the more volume there is in the marketplace, the better, and the more healthier it is, the more quickly your land will move on the marketplace. So on Feb 10th, we had a big spike. That was Feb 20th is when Decentraland launched to the public. So you can see a lot of people buying land in anticipation for that. If I expand this, if I pull this back, this was the first auction where 125 million mana was spent on 34,000 pieces of land. So we can kind of ignore that. This was, again, the second auction, but the bit in between, we can kind of have a better look once we zoom in. You can see that, yeah, it was kind of quiet for a while. It was like 7 to 10, 20 lands selling a day. Yeah, people didn't really know much about the Decentraland project. Then suddenly, we had a massive buyer come in and buy a shit ton of land, and he just set off the marketplace. And then after that, we were seeing some 1.5 million mana days, people spending $100,000 a day in Decentraland land, 50 pieces for sale, 50 pieces sold, 158 pieces sold on this day. And then, it continued 1.5 million, 400,000. And this, if we expand that out, you can see the volume is steady. It's kind of kept up. It has its slow periods and then it spikes. I feel like we're due for another spike now as people invest in Decentraland land, as it's kind of going to start introducing more features and we start to have more builder contests to attract more people to build stuff on their land. All right, that's a mouthful, and I hope you learned a lot about the land market. Let's move to the name market. So Decentraland is a cool place where you can kind of own everything around you. So if I own all of the things that you see me wearing. These are all tokens that I can trade on the marketplace. I also own my name, which you can't see, which I can't see, but you can see if you see me in the world. It'll say my name, it'll say DCL Blogger, so you'll be like, hey, that's DCL Blogger, what's up, man? But the cool thing about that is the names are actually subdomains of ENS domains. So if you guys know that, .ENS, you can purchase those, and I think you can build a website on them or use them to you make Ethereum payments. But basically DCL names are DCL.eth. I think it's DCLblogger.dcl.eth. So DCL is the subdomain names. When you claim a name, you're actually getting a token that represents that. So what's happened now is people have started to invest in names because each name is unique, and it's going to get harder and harder to find unique names. If you've got the name Bob, then in once there's a million players in this, then man, the name Bob is going to be like, whoa, that's really rare to get that. Usually people have to make the name Bob 25 or Bob 36. So people are investing in names, and the name, like, there's been a name that have sold for sometimes I think $5,000. I think the name Moon sold for 50,000 mana. I think the name Kanye sold for 100,000 mana. Some of these names may be dodgy in the sense that it's hard for us to believe that these names that cost 100 mana are suddenly selling for 50,000 mana. But a lot of people are spending decent amount. We've seen 3,000, 4,000 mana sales for some names. But basically, names are kind of like, if you played RuneScape, then you know that there's a very healthy name market where people kind of buy and sell names because it's cool to have your kind of digital representation, your rep, the street cred in the digital place is kind of, it's different, right? You feel cool when you own cool wearables that people recognize or have a cool name. I have the name Neo, which I'm so happy with. And I ain't selling that anytime soon. But when I wear that, then in like say 10 years time, people are going to look back and be like, whoa, that's a cool name. He must be someone from the very early days of Decentraland. So people are selling this for all kinds of prices. These are the cheapest names that you can see. Some names have numbers in them or different letters. So you might think it says Bitcoins, but it's actually BLTCOLNS. So keep an eye on that. So you can kind of check out the names as well with nonfungible.com. Again, you'll just have to change the token filter to, so we'll just have to filter the results by token DCLENS. Click apply, and suddenly you can see the names being sold. So you can see the name GSP sold for 100 mana. Qantas sold for 100 mana. Whoa, I can't believe no one took that. The name, the greatest, they're kind of like domain name. So that sold for 100 mana. Those are pretty good names. Pew sold for 100 mana 2 hours ago. So people are spending 100 mana to claim their name. You have to spend 100 mana if you want to mint a new name. You can buy from the secondary marketplace. You can see this one sold for 5 Ethereum, the word advertising. This one sold for 10 Ethereum, the word bank. So that's all 8 hours ago. That's a shit ton of money. So that's the name market. It's not that complicated. If you want to buy names, you can go to Decentraland and click the name marketplace and see what's for sale, or you can mint a new one. So if you go to Decentraland avatars, avatars.decentraland, then you can go create avatar, and then you can put your name in, and then it'll tell you whether it's available or not. That's the name marketplace. Now for the last topic, which is one of my favorite topics, is the wearables. I hope I haven't gone too much. Let me just quickly check the time here. 22 minutes. So I'm going to try and end this at 30 minutes. So the wearables market is also really, really exciting because each asset or item of clothing has its scarcity. So for example, what you see me wearing, each item, if I were to click my avatar, I show you my kind of, everyone gets kind of all these free ones, but there's also wearables that you can buy because they have limited amount of, there's a limited amount of them. So for the first like 6 months to 8 months, Decentraland were the only ones releasing wearables, right? Because they were just testing the platform. And just recently, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, we had the community release their own wearables. So it was about 5 community member projects that were chosen to release their own set of wearables. So there was Polygon Mines, there was Dakcraft, Digitable that sent these, made these. These are pretty exciting because these wearables this represents also a real world hoodie. So if you buy the hoodie in the real world, you also get some sort of a digital representation, which also has value. And in some cases, it has more value than the real world one. So that's pretty crazy. There's only 100 of these. So the color around the wearable represents the rarity of the wearable. So a good thing to do is if you go to Decentraland Marketplace and you click the wearables button, you will see like a ton of wearables for sale, and they all have different color backgrounds. So the purple one's 100 pieces. There's only 100 of these in the whole Decentraland world. Blue ones, I think there's about 1,000 of them. A really good website to check out is A Beginner's Guide to Decentraland Wearables, written by Clark Kent, Metaverse NFT. And if you scroll down, then you can see he kind of goes through what are Decentraland wearables, the rarities. So a mythic one, there's only 10 of them. Each mythic item has only 10 supply. Each legendary item has only 100 supply. Epic items have 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000. It kind of goes through the different categories. So DCL exclusive masks. These were the first set of wearables ever released. There's like 7 masks that that were released where Decentraland first had their beta test, and they were like, all right guys, we're just testing this out, come in and try and claim this mask. And there was like 7 masks that we could claim, and that's what I'm wearing right now. That's why I kind of look like a freak, is because this is one of the 7 type of masks that could be claimed. I think each mask had a supply of like 100, but only like 40 or 60, or in some cases only like 10 to 15 of these were claimed. So they're pretty rare, and they're like the first ever masks in Decentraland, so they've appreciated quite a lot. They were free to claim, and now the cheapest mask you can get is like 5,000 mana. So that's pretty cool. Other things like the mythics, which are pink. So these are all mythics. There's only 10 of these in the whole of Decentraland each. So you can see I own like this set, which I'm really proud of. It was kind of during the early Christmas event in 2019. Oh, I think it was 2018 actually. 2019 Christmas? Yeah, actually, I think it was 2019 Christmas. It's going to take a while to load because I'm running OBS and the recorder and Decentraland at the same time. But basically, you can kind of sell these back on the marketplace. So the mythic items, usually the cheapest they go for is like 4,000, 5,000 mana. I just recently saw one for sale for 3,000 mana, which is like the cheapest I've seen it for a while. Some of them have sold for 30,000 mana, depending on the scarcity and how cool they are. So these ones are quite rare now because there were some of the early mythics. This one looks cool. That's why this one's sold for 15,000 mana. I think I sold one for. And so as Decentraland grows in popularity, and then as these kind of build a story to what they are, then they start to go up in value, right? So you can buy wearables from the Decentraland marketplace. I think the Decentraland marketplace needs a lot of work in terms of making it the categories and all this easier to purchase, and I hope there's going to be more graphs and stuff involved. I think they're going to be doing some sort of a overhaul of the marketplace, so stay tuned. But you can see this one. This is the cheapest mythic I've seen for a while for 3,000 mana, and I think that's because of Decentraland land. The mana token going up in value pretty crazy. So yeah, you can explore this. They're also for sale on OpenSea, so you can go to OpenSea and search the wearables area, and you can see OpenSea is good because it has a lot more data, and you can see the recent sales of, let's just say, for example, Bitcoin glasses, which are quite popular because there's only 100 of them, and they're the only Bitcoin item that Decentraland have ever released. The most recent sales have been 10,000 mana, 11,000 mana. This one sold for 3,000 mana. 4,500, 7,000. It's a bit of a mix, so let's just say it's 5,000 mana. But if you roll it all the way back, you can see that the earlier sales, back when it was first released, I think like 4 months ago, maybe 4 to 5 months ago, sold for 1,200 mana, 1,500 mana. So they started at pretty cheap, right? 600 mana, and now they've increased all the way to like around 5,000 mana. In some cases, 10,000 mana they've sold for. So again, like they have a history, they're appreciating at different values, and once you learn about them, and if that's something you want to invest in as well, there's that. But again, do your research. They're not as liquid as cryptocurrency. Suddenly, if mana goes up 5x, it's very easy to sell that coin. If this is kind of a slow thing in the sense that people don't really know much about the wearables marketplace, and it increases as the user base of Decentraland increases. So that's my focus, is to kind of increase the user base and people actually using the platform, making events, participating in land, buying land and building on that land. That's what's going to increase the value proposition of Decentraland. Decentraland's been out made public since Feb. So what do we have? Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, 7 months, 6 to 7 months it's been public for. The Decentraland today is going to be vastly different from the Decentraland we're going to see in 1 to 2 years. In fact, the next quarter or the next 2 quarters is going to be huge for Decentraland. We have so many things we're going to be releasing. There's a really good Trello board that I'll link. It is the Decentraland roadmap. So they have their roadmap on the Trello board. Hopefully I can find this for you guys during this video. Here we go. This is kind of a little bit outdated, but it gives you an indication as to what's to come in Decentraland. There's so much more that we have expecting apart from this roadmap, so this is like just the minimum. So soon, we're going to be able to use the DAO. Remember, the Decentraland is a DAO where we can vote on things using the mana token, but we're going to be naming the streets. There's going to be NFT badges you can collect, and even these will be rare. So if you achieve certain things, say you were like the best player in the soccer tournament that we held and you would have got a badge, that badge would go on to have value because, it's like a really rare item. They're going to add world map and events to the Explorer. You can add friends. I think you can do that already. There's going to be more items added to the builder, so you can drag and drop all kinds of items, smart assets. You can drag and drop YouTube videos. You can drag and drop whole houses, so you can set up your crib pretty easily. There's going to be guilds and groups, so you can have a DAO-based group that you can all participate in a formalized group, and have a voting mechanism within the world itself. So when you're playing like soccer with your group or your team, well, you can manage that within Decentraland. In world trading, so all these assets, currently we're doing it on the marketplace, but soon you're going to be able to do it in the world itself. Creator contests, so we're going to run so many creator contests, it's not going to be funny. We're going to have, so there's going to be more like multiplayer scenes and more work done to the SDK, so you're going to be seeing more cooler scenes in Decentraland. Ambassadors program to make sure that people that join Decentraland are met with friendly faces. Apps on the mobile phone. We have VR around the corner. We got mobile phone around the corner. Well, not really around the corner. It's later, so we don't know when. Yeah, VR Explorer. So these are some of the things that to look out for in Decentraland. Again, the mana coin is exciting. I know the mana coin is going to appreciate, all right, because Decentraland is just a sick project. But being part of the Decentraland ecosystem is just so fun, and there's assets there that are appreciating in value like crazy, like some of the early wearables, and that's why I own so many of them. It's because it's like an asset that as the platform matures and millions of people come, it's guaranteed to go up, because that's how collecting works, right? That's it, guys. I don't really want to drain it, but it's been 31 minutes, so let's stop it here. And I hope you guys have learned a thing or two about the whole Decentraland ecosystem. I really hope I broke it down. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube. Obviously, on the groups that I'm in, you can contact me anytime. I'm happy to hold your hand through Decentraland. Happy to, even if you want to run events, if you represent a company, if you want advice on where to buy land, if you want to run events in Decentraland, I can hook you up with an event. You don't even have to buy land. You can probably just hook up with the someone's conference center, and then host an event, stream your video and audio there with Zoom, and then suddenly gather a ton of people and show what you have to offer. We can do all kinds of things. So I hope you guys had fun and learned a lot. I'll see you guys in another video.